Hey, Arcturus here. Today, we're looking at the Kroot hunting pack for Warhammer 40,000. This is a army set for the Tau Empire. This set comes with the Kroot Carnivores, the new Kroot Rampagers, the Krootox Rider, the War Shaper, and the Flesh Shaper. It also comes with a Codex and the data sheets, or data cards. So let's get this open. So it's got a nice cover. And then we have the box. It's got a little bit of damage. But as long as the parts inside are fine, the damage to the box does not bother me. So, and I suspect they will be. So let's pull it out. Yeah, so stuff shifted a little bit in shipping. But this all should be okay. So we have one of the shapers here, Flesh Shaper, I would suspect. And then we've got the other shaper here. Oh, two different heads. We'll take a look at the sprues in a few minutes. Let me pull these out. And then, oh dear. Okay, that's not good. One of the legs popped out. So this did have some damage from shipping, but it doesn't look too bad. Something poked a hole in there. So let's see, we have some bases. Yeah, it looks like part of this got crushed. We got another Tau box here. This should be the data cards and the codex. Some battlesuit art. And a strap to hold everything closed. See what else we got. We got bases in 1 minute and another piece. Oh, that's so then we have parts here. So we'll look at this box in a second. Let's take a look at the sprue and find out what pieces fell off or were knocked out. So we have here, this should be the War Shaper. I believe the shaper we're missing is the Trail Shaper. Got a lot of options. Two different heads, a couple different weapons, a bow, blade staff. So those parts are all there, so that's good. We have the other shaper. This should be the Flesh Shaper, I believe. A couple different options as well. And a couple different blades, although much fewer options than the other. So we will see what those are when we look at the instructions. Then we have our Krootox Rider. This looks like it'll be a pretty nice kit to build. Not a ton of options. Two different guns, I think. Tangle Cannon, which I believe is similar to what's in the Far Stalker box. That's the Kill Team box. A few other things. So let's see, what do we got here? We have the Rampagers. Kind of more brutish looking. A little sprues broken there, but that's... I don't see any damage to the parts. So we'll take a look at the... Oh, nope. So these did come off of here. So we'll take a quick look. You know, doesn't look too bad. That one doesn't look terrible. Looks like they just popped out of the sprue. So, well, the cleanup will probably leave a bit more damage than I would like. One part is the foot, which will just be the rock, and the other part is another one of the legs, and so that's not as bad as I was expecting. It looks like they just got knocked out of the sprue in transit. That's not the first time that's happened, but this is the first time I've had more than one piece come out in transit. And then we have two sets of the new carnivore sprues, which just look like a pretty simple update to the Kroot carnivores. It's not a massive resculpting, it looks like. Looks pretty similar. You got Kroot rifles, a couple different new weapon options, similar to what you have in the Kill Team, although not quite as many weapons as you have there. And that seems to be pretty much it. So, nice and simple. So, yeah, a little bit of damage here as well. It's odd. Stuff shifted in transit, so that does happen. Not the end of the world. We have a large set of data cards, which we'll look at in a second. And then we also have the codex and the instructions. Then we have the Tau Codex. This is, I believe, a unique version that will only be in this set. So if you are a collector, that might be good to get your hands on. Of course, by the time this video goes live, I don't know if there will still be any to purchase. So I know they sold out online, but maybe there's some more. Oh, and this is kind of annoying. So we have the data cards, and they come in this box. But when I pull the data cards out, I guess they have sheaths right there, or catches, but... Oh, man. Okay, well. So we have the data cards. They have nice blue edges. I presume they'll sell a similar type, probably without the blue edges, when the codex formally releases, and it's not just in this box set. I would guess. I don't know. I would imagine that is the case. That seems to be what they've done for other armies. I don't tend to use these data cards. Like, obviously, if they're add-ins, then it's kind of a nice thing. But normally, these days, I just use the app. Although, I can definitely understand if you aren't using the app when you may not have, bought the codex or something. Since the 40K app requires the codex to get you the data sheets once the codex comes out. Now, the app has... As of recording this, the app has not updated for this new book, probably because the book is not formally out. It's only out in the in this box set, and that is so. I mean, they could have updated it and just you'd been out of luck if you hadn't bought the box set. But that doesn't seem like that's what they're doing, which is, I mean. Like we could say, well, that's how it should be, but it is kind of nice. I think a few of the other codexes did, and maybe it has before the codex comes out. But as of recording this video, it has not. So if it does, that would be a shame, especially if you're somebody who uses the app. And we'll take a quick look. Lore. No, come on. At least it didn't tear the pages. That's nice. Then we got Oshova, or Commander's Farsight, some art. So let's see. So in this box set, what we're also missing, I believe, are Kroot Hounds. I'd forgotten about those, actually. Kroot Hounds, the Kroot Lone Spear, and the Trail Shaper. Just some more art here. If I put it so it's actually centered, you guys might enjoy that a bit more. This does kind of help them be auxiliaries. The only thing I don't like is, from what I've seen, the Kroot do not get the for the greater good ability, so they can't act as observers, which is kind of disappointing, where you would hope that these auxiliary troops, one of the reasons you'd be bringing them is, they then act as observers, in addition to the Kroot carnivores now having sticky objectives. Let's take a look at the completed Kroot models. So I have here all the Kroot assembled. We have 20 carnivores, the War Shaper, Flesh Shaper, 3 Rampagers, and the Krootox Rider. Now, some of these do have additional weapon options or build options. On the carnivores, I did build both Tangle Cannons and both Long Quills. And they have a few unique poses, which in a lot of cases I also built. Let me slide some of these out of the way. And then on the Rampagers, I built them with the coolest looking options, I think. So we have this hook-shaped blade, a sword on the rider, and then one with a pistol, so you get some nice variation. And then I built the repeater cannon on the Krootox Rider. And for the War Shaper, I built him with bow and tri-blade. That was more of, I thought it looked cool, though I think the other sculpt also looks cool. So it was kind of a toss-up, but I thought, if I play, I'm probably going to use him more with the ranged weapons than with the melee. So that's what I went for. And then the Flesh Shaper does not have options, so he's just a single monopose build. So we'll take a closer look at these. So here we have one of the Kroot Longquills. Now in the new kit, they come with these small Kroot hounds. And they have a couple different poses, 3 different poses in the instructions that you could obviously mix and match some of the arms as long as it's distinct. You know, it'll be fine. I do wish they came with more of these little Kroot hounds, though. They're pretty nice little addition to the Kroot models as they're kind of drab otherwise. So it's one of the Kroot Longquills, and then the other Longquill I built is with the sword, and then the Kroot hound underneath them, and then the Kroot rifle off to the side there. And then for a... let me grab the more equivalent. And then so for the new weapon, which is the Tangle Cannon, which if you have the Farstalkers, I believe you're familiar with, because I believe it's also on their data sheet. But just kind of like grenade launcher like thing. And then the other option is with some Tangle ammo coming out of it. Similar type pose and some different kit there on the back. That's pretty good. And then one of the standard Kroot is here. And then as a comparison, I have one now. It is painted and on a slightly smaller base. But as a comparison, just for, you know, height and everything, we have this one. He is painted. I did not paint him. I picked him up painted this way already as part of a bundle somebody I knew was getting rid of their Tau. And yeah, so I picked him up. This was back in 8th edition, I think. So the new models are slightly taller and thinner, a little less squat, a little thinner, and a little taller. But otherwise, they're pretty interchangeable. It'd be pretty easy to just mix in, you know, these older models in with your newer ones, no problem, or have them on the same table and nobody's really going to bat an eye. Part of that's also because they're Xenos, but also because they look pretty similar. It's not like with Games Workshop where they revamp the sculpts and it's very noticeable. If you take the Grey Knights Castellan Crow and put him next to some of the other Grey Knights, it's very noticeable that he's very different. He's Primaris-sized, and the old Grey Knights aren't. That's probably the most stark example. But any of the old Marines with the Primaris Marines is very noticeable. And we'll have that too in Age of Sigmar with the Stormcast Eternals, where those new ones they're showing off as of filming this are going to look pretty different from the old ones. So it would be pretty noticeable. But for the Kroot, it's not really a huge deal, I think. Now with the stuff that was formerly resin, it would be, but for the non-resin. And then just as a comparison to a Cadre Fireblade, just for the height. So I had the box for this Cadre Fireblade and realized I had never gotten around to building him. And so I did. And then let me see if I can't. Here, I'll just lay them on my hand here. And hold this one here. And as comparison, so the old Kroot, slightly taller than the Cadre Fireblade, and the new Kroot is a little taller than both. Little more angular, but still fits very well. Then we have the War Shaper. As I said, I went with the Tri-Bow or Tri-Blade and Bow staff or something. Nice detail, a lot of sculpting there on the cloak, which has like quills on it. Nice looking bow, I think. And then one of the other options he has is an extra pistol instead of these arrows here. So if you do build him with the blade staff, you can take that instead, and then he doesn't have arrows. And then we have the War Shaper. Just a solid model, I think. Just looks pretty good in my opinion. Then we also have the Kroot Rampagers, so we'll take a closer look at these as well. So a lot of detail. There are some variations on the heads. There's a closed mouth model. I just thought for the Rampagers, these looked better with the open mouth. Again, some variation on the weapons you can take one of these or a blade, or I believe there's an extra pistol in there. A lot of nice little detail action pose on all three of them. They are pretty solidly connected though, depending on what kind of transit you have to do. There might be some problems there. But a lot of nice details on these models. You know, one with the pistol. The connection for the rider here just slides right around these belt loops. Not belt loops, but the like leather backing here. This piece here. And it just slides right on there, and it's quite nice. They also have a divot on the, or hole, I guess it's not really a divot, it's more of a hole for this foot brace thing here. Oops. So they slide in quite nicely. The kit went together really well. I didn't notice anything that really stuck out to me on the Rampagers. One thing I did notice is there's a couple of different build options for the standard Kroot, and I had one or two where the weapon options I'd already used, so I had to cobble something together, but there's enough pieces it wasn't a huge deal. But a lot of the arms on the Kroot carnivores are paired, so you want the right gun to go with the you want the correct gun with the correct arm, otherwise you might have some difficulty. And then we have our Kroot Rider, so this one has the Kroot with the closed mouth, a little more solid stance, less wild looking, which fits the lore. You get this like carapace back armor, which is kind of cool. Some extra ammo for the repeater gun, and there's a different set of ammo you can put back here if you build the tangle cannon. I just thought the repeater gun was good. I don't have a comparison model for this one. The old one was, I believe, resin. So, and then just as a comparison to one of the stealth suits, you have your Kroot next to Kroot Rider next to a stealth suit. Try to get those so they're lined up on the base there. And we'll show him next to one of the characters, as they are on the same same size of base. So let me hold it so they're actually visible. So about the same dimensions really for those. And of course next to a Kroot. And then just for fun, a Tau Commander, Cold Star Commander next to one of the Kroot. Just as a comparison. Trying to line up those bases there, though I'm probably not doing a very good job of it. And then next to a Rampager. The Rampagers are a little taller than the Kroot Rider because of the pose. And then next to the Kroot Rider. Although I think they're pretty much the same. Other than that, they're pretty similar in size. So, and then we'll compare him to the Flesh Shaper as well. So, and there we have it. Comparison next to a Cold Star Commander. The ghost kills are a little larger if you aren't as familiar with Tau. And then, of course, the Riptide is the large battle suit, the large actual battle suit, and the Storm Surge is even larger, although that's technically a mobile weapons platform as opposed to a battle suit, which is an odd distinction since the battle suits are basically mobile weapons platforms anyway. But, well, that's all I've got for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.